Brigadier Generals. This is Gamer 1745, and I want to say hello to Arno, who was first, as well as Mattis Bjorkman. Good to have you here. I am just checking, and it does look like we are live on the interwebs. Very good. Let me open my Coke here. And surprise, surprise, we're going to be playing some Strategic Command World War I. We do have the Empires in Turmoil DLC installed, as you can see. And we're going to play a new campaign. The last one did, we did play out as a decisive victory. Now, let's see what this one says. Okay, so, excuse me. Just starting to talk today. It's morning here. We're going to be playing as the Entente. Okay, Entente decisive victory. If Germany, national morale, I think German, but let's see how this sentence goes. National morale falls below 1%, or the Entente holds Strasbourg, Cologne, and Koblenz. So we've got to really push into the Empire for a decisive victory, because we are going to be playing the Entente. A major victory, if on the 10th of October 1914 the Entente holds Metz, Saarbrücken, Strasbourg, and Freiburg. That still seems like rather push in. The Entente minor victory if on the 10th of October 1914 French national morale is above 25% and Germany's is below 25%. So, that and similar of things there for victory conditions, because we're going to be playing the March on Paris, but from the French side, as Arno wished. Right. A campaign. We are going to be playing the Entente. Now, I have played this from the Central Powers. You can see that series up on the channel. Well, what? Powers completed deployment phase. Germany declares war. Germany declares war on Belgium. UK prepares for war. UK joins the Entente. Right. With war upon us and mobilization underway, you must decide on your plan for the campaign, acting in accordance with plan, what is that, 17, launching an offensive into Alsace-Lorraine to take Metz, Saarbrücken, Strasbourg, and Freiburg could win us the war. It is certainly the case that the liberation of Alsace-Lorraine would make you a national hero, but take care to avoiding losing too much territory or leaving Paris unguarded. Such a move would be catastrophic. Soldiers of Belgium are countries at war, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the important here is Brussels falls and the capital moves to Antwerp, Newport, and Wipers. The British Army is starting to mobilize. All right. So the First World War has become. But before I jump into all this, and if you wish to jump ahead if you're watching. Oh, I'm not. Oh, let's actually make. I thought I was making an episode. We're not making an episode, but we are going to make an episode. I don't know if I'm going to be posting these things anytime soon, but we're making an episode here. Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745, and we're playing Strategic Command World War I, the March on Paris DLC, which I believe is free with the game, and we are playing it from the Entente side. But on the day that I'm recording this is December 7th, 2024, not 1941. But it is the day, or the anniversary of the day that will live in infamy in which Japan attacks Pearl Harbor. I think we are living in interesting times, might be the term. I think we are entering a period of instability in the world. We can see with this conflict here the killing of Archduke Ferdinand some many months before, I forget the date, that leads to what it becomes known as World War I. Was situation spinning out of control. And as I know on the, if you're watching this later, you, unless you want to go back to the live stream, you missed the part where mobilization. And at this time period in 1914, mobilization was a very big thing. Really starting with the French Revolutionary period, you get the period of mass armies instead of highly trained armies. And so, in which the large bulk of the male populations of the countries were part of the army, and which they needed time to be mobilized. And part of the problem of once all of this World War I gets kicked off is the need to make the moves prior to the enemy mobilizing. That becomes a big issue. December 8th, due to the time difference. Yes. Arno's posting over on Twitch. Did you know in for the DEI, and he doesn't mean diversity, equity, and inclusion, but Dutch East Indies. Yes, I do get that. It was December 8th, yes. Time in Japan, in the Dutch East Indies, in Singapore and China, it was December 8th. In Europe, it was December 7th, but over there it wasn't. So, as I'm recording this, Trump is in. I know most of you are here to watch the game, so I will start making some moves. Is in Paris for the official opening of the revitalized Notre Dame, rebuilt after the fire. A friend of mine from Angola, I was just chatting with before starting the stream, and just text chatting, but that with the fall or falling of Assad, I don't. I think he's falling. That doesn't mean he's fallen, but I think he's falling. I don't. I say that because I don't know enough to know um, what his army really thinks and wants to do. But he was expressing the opinion. Well, this talk of World War III is all over now that we're seeing Russia can't hold Syria. Uh, Part of the reason I like to make these streams is I get, I guess, a therapy session and get to talk it out with you guys, hear the world and what I see going on. No one's paying attention to me, and you know, I know. Hi, Arno and Mattis and whoever else may be watching, but I'm talking. I think I have important insights, but nobody pays attention out there. Shall we say empires can overextend. It does not mean that they're going to collapse. Russia is obviously pouring lots and lots of effort into Ukraine, but it's also been pouring efforts into, I guess the area is sort of called the Sahel. It's sort of south of the Sahara, below the jungle parts of Africa, if you will. It's sort of that border region. There's been recent moves to get the French out of places like Niger and Mali by the Russians through the Wagner Group and others, as well as fighting in the Sudan that Russia's pushing. So I think Russia has overextended itself. That and took the eye off, focus off of Syria. And that obviously was a mistake because I believe the Russians are withdrawing from Syria at this moment. Um, so I don't. I actually think with overextension, we're going to see a lot of more chaos in the world. Um, Wars, civil wars, whatever, um, that can lead to a world war, because if you assassinate a U.S. president, if you assassinate um, another major world leader, the president of France or something, that can take what might be perceived that should be a local or regional war into a global one. So, yeah. And hello, Beam Slam. Just being a bit introspective today. So we are going to try to hold. Okay, now I don't know how much we're going to try to push into places like Strasbourg and Saarbrücken and whatnot. We have till October, which isn't terribly long time in this game. But what I'm hoping to do is, as objective, is to blunt the the German attack. I'm not saying that we're going to save Belgium. I actually think the idea of taking deep into Germany is, well, I don't know, maybe a bit of an overestimation. But we're going to see what we can do. Now, railways play a massively important. How long will Assad survive? I think his regime is over. The rebels are already entering Damascus. No reorganized resistance. Yes, I think his regime is falling. I Control of territory is an interesting thing. Controls of cities take up lots and lots of troops because cities are very dense to fight in. Where if you put a company out in an open terrain like the desert, it can control a lot of territory, especially if it's motorized and can react to an enemy approach. But take that same company, it may just hold a few blocks of a city. I don't know enough. Excuse me. I don't know enough about the security arrangements. How easy is it to penetrate into the city? The question is once you get there, what can you hold? You know, and I do know a few of you are military veterans out there, but how many rounds of ammo can you carry? And if you show up in Damascus, shall we say, you very well might be able to live off the land for food and water, rob local stores, rob local homes, just find food. But how long is your ammo going to last? Now, the most troubling thing that I've seen, no, not choking, no dramatic stuff like that, just sort of morning cough. Um, what, like I say, the most troubling thing I've seen is, and I forget the city's name, but I think it's down on the Jordanian border. But it was a city that is majority, I think, Druze with a significant Christian population as well. Um, and the Druze and the Christians had been Assad allies because Assad is, a secular Muslim, if you will. I think he is a Muslim, but he is running a secular government where most of these insurgents are, not all of them, but most of them and the ones that are getting Iranian backing are uh, Islamic fundamentalist movements, are not friendly to the Christians or the Druze. But this one city or town or whatever, but I think with tens of thousands of people, not just some little village, um, declared independence or whatever from the Assad regime, not necessarily from Syria, but from the Assad regime, their local militias. So if the factions that has support the Ba'athist and the other, there's another sort of term for the Alawite, I think it is, another sort of subsect of Islam that Assad comes from. If their other supporting factions are seeing that it's not good to support Assad, that I think is more troubling than somebody um, penetrating the city. Because, like I say, um, if the army is still in and around the city, they have some army bases there and they got stockpiles of AK-47 ammunition and mortar ammunition and heavy machine gun ammunition and tank ammunition and whatnot, and the militia shows up, how long is it going to be able to fight with its ammunition without a coherent supply lines? Now, always remember some of my maxims. I don't know if other people have said these, but these are definitely ones that I say. Politics is perception. Why is somebody in charge? Because the general perception is that they are in charge, whether it's a president, a governor, a mayor, or a police officer. Why is a police officer in charge? It is because the perception of the people around him, not that he necessarily, well, I have a gun, so you do what I say, because, hey, in America, everybody can have a gun. It's somebody of authority has put him in charge, and he has, buddies to back him up. And so you don't want to, do it. So it's perception. Whether it's reality or not is another question, but with enough perception, it becomes reality that, some political faction or group is in charge. Because we can see here illustrated, there were a bunch of loons, including people on all the media, saying that Kamala Harris is going to win and going to win this easily in this last election. And I and a bunch of other people looking around and going, this is crazy talk. But so many people, including supposedly, hello, Eric, world leaders, believed the loons on the media that Kamala Harris was going to win, when really it was, some people had to know because there's polling and whatnot, knew that she was going to lose. Other people were just reading whatever copy being given. So I don't know who knew it was a lie, but they were trying to create the perception that Kamala Harris was going to win and she was popular. The reality was she's not at all popular and she's going to lose. So the perception was that people were paying attention to the Biden presidency and paying attention to Kamala Harris. Well, now that that's flipped, and that it's seen that Trump is the winner, popular, you're going to have the House and the Senate and the Supreme Court, so it's all going to more or less be Trump. I mean, he has minor issues with the senator here, a senator there, a Supreme Court justice here or there or something, but basically he's in charge. So now we see, like I was saying earlier, Trump is in Paris right now for the Notre Dame reopening celebration officially. He's being treated like the world leader now. Going from, hey, he's a neo-Hitler who's going to lose very soon and whose only supporters are extreme racists in the backwoods, to now being the world leader. So that shows you how politics is perception. Okay, politics is perception. Warfare is a political act at its very nature. It is an act that is political. So the perception here is important when we're talking about the Assad regime or any regime. And I agree that it seems like he's crumbling fast, and he, who knows, he may already be on an airplane out of there. Let's see what Beam said. But yeah, but the whole Southern Front have collapsed, and the Southern Rebellion Forces is now the suburbs of the capital. Yes, and yeah, and it's like I say, he could be on the airplane out now, but I'm just saying I don't know enough, and like I'm talking about the American presidential election, that the talking heads of the media were, telling me things. Well, I don't know what all of these experts really know. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying I don't trust them as to be telling me the truth, I guess. And I just sort of woke up to, I knew yesterday and whatnot that or a few days ago that there were major moves going on around Aleppo. Not that I haven't been paying any attention, but it just more news is breaking, and I'm just not up on it. Maybe I should do a this is your world events type talk channel. Who knows? Okay. So let's get back to here. So we're going to swap here. We're going to look, let's look under here. Okay, Brussels is not fortified. So we're going to entrench. We are going to add we're going to cancel this. We're going to be smart. Okay, so the river here flows to the north on this map. So those are the three sides I want to hold. Okay. Sides 3, that's correct. And you don't get to entrench. Right? We need crisis report back. Yeah, that would be a decent thing. Okay, so back to this. If I hold Liège here, Germany can't just keep pushing in indefinitely in here because it needs Liège for a railway network. Yeah, in theory, it can come up through here, but then it needs Namur. And I am marching up here to, I don't know if I can hold this city or just down here or Philippi or Philippeville, I don't know. Somewhere in here I want to hold another railway junction that, if I can do so, will keep the supply from going. Following the situation on live unmap. It's real-time maps updated, fairly trustworthy. Well, very good. Well, and I guess my and I'm not saying the map is untrustworthy. What I'm saying is, right now, literally as we speak, if I had 100 friends, we could all get in some vehicles, get our guns, and go secure the city hall of Los Angeles City right now. Because I don't know if there's any armed guards there even. Now the courthouse will have some sheriff armed guards, but that won't be the city hall in Los Angeles. 100 of us can go secure City Hall right now. Probably without a shot being fired. So 100 BLM guys could go secure the City Hall of Los Angeles right now. If they're willing to break their way in. It's Saturday morning. It's probably mostly closed. But any day of the week, we can just show up and take over our City Hall. We can all have 200 rounds of ammunition with us. And are we going to keep sending out to McDonald's, or is DoorDash going to keep delivering us food? Okay. So my question is, has the fight gone out of Assad's forces? If it has, okay. And I just don't know this. Or are we just seeing forces pushing into areas that Assad is not holding well? But I I think he's falling. Don't get me wrong. I think it's falling. I'm just like I say, until I just don't trust. I don't trust. Like I was saying, I'm not trusting that the map is incorrect in its. Let's move you up this way. Mons is important. But if I can get down to here somewhere. His army is mostly surrendering or withdrawing to Damascus. Yeah. And if the fight is out of his army, then yeah, he's done. But I just, like I say, I have not been following. Okay. Let's dig in. Good. They've got Mets. So, I think we're going to here. This may have been moving too far forward, probably was. But let's create a bit of a line here. Right. I'm going to move you down here and you come up here. I want my cavalry to be able to maneuver in around here. The Fez army. Talk about the Fez army instead. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to there. Okay, now. They're holding in a fortress, so they're going to be pretty good. I think we're going to take the risk and move these forces up. We've entrenched them. You come up and hold here. You come and hold here. Didn't the French wear fez on their head at this time? No, not at all. No, 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 no. Well, okay. There were the because the Americans sort of copied them, or some of the American units during the Civil War sort of copied them. Uh, oh, the red thing, the red caps. These are red capes, sort of like what you think of the French Foreign Legion caps, but more like you would think of red American Civil War caps, if you will. The Union type that most of the Union, some of the Confederates also had similar gray versions, but the God, I always blank on proper names. Oh boy, there was a yeah, sort of, but more in the lines of a um uh so, yeah, somewhat between a French Foreign Legion, I would say, and the American Civil War type cap. Um, Zauvoir, spelled Zouave. Zauvoir. Those guys did wear a fez like uh thing, but no, the standard French did not. Okay, we have this core down here that I want to move to the north. So let's see what. Oh, we don't have any points to do so. So let's move you on. I don't know if we're going to have the points or when we will have the points. We will get you marching. Horses down here. Giddy on up. Rail lines as needed. Okay, any. I think we can leave Paris unprotected at the moment. I don't think we're going to be paratrooped in or something. So our plan is to hold some railway nodes. If we can hold Liège, great, Namur, and something in here. That would be ideal, along with, I'm going to hold, of course, Verdun, but if they're mostly pushing through here, we can hold something as well, because that's just a dirt road, or not dirt, I don't know what it's made of, but that's just a road, not a railway. That's a road, not a railway. So they got to take, for proper supply, because I fought it from the German side, they got to take this or this route to get in here. So this city is, and I may have uncovered it, but I want to hold here for sure. Here is unnegotiable. But if we can move up some forces here. Don't know how long these guys can hold out in their fortification. Same here, but we will see what we can do. Yes, a kep. Well, let me see about this. Over here, get that off. I did save some photos for thumbnails. Let me see if I can get them. One of them over here and bring them over to the other screen. I want to go over this. Oh, here we are. Yeah, okay. You can see these are more of a kep here. And I don't know that how color accurate these are. Because these have been modern colorized. And you can see these are red keps. But keps. I think those are all the... this is later with helmets. And you can see these are very much like the caps that the American Civil War soldiers were wearing, slightly different. Whatnot. And I don't know that these are supposed to be blue caps. I sort of hate colorization because it's all a lie. All modern colorization is a lie. Because they're taking black and white images and they're guessing on things. Now, maybe more true than lies, but it's all to a degree a lie. Okay, so now can't purchase anything. Yeah, so we'll end the turn here. French morale is boosted by British entrance into the war. Okay, start getting some MPP. Okay, they're capturing some towns, and we're getting some more French units. Okay. I don't know if I wanted to do that, but maybe more on the railways. Around Verdun. Okay. Right. Yeah. So we don't need to take that loss of 2 there, I don't think. So he's going to come back to, well, how far can he come up to here? I think this is a secondary supply. So if this or this gets entirely cut off, they're still in some level of supply. So we will do so. Okay, you come up and so now the actual fortified places have units. Let's move you down to Sedan and entrench. Increase the number size, flip to there. travel too far forward, at least not in my my current opinion of things, but maybe I am trying to go too far forward. Can't. You can't for some reason. You? No. No. No strategic movement even though we're on railways? Huh. Okay, maybe we just can't strategically move it yet. No, you dig in. You dig in here because you're not an objective that is secondary supply. So he may be a bit too far forward. I don't know. He is in a fortified objective, so I think we are a little better off there. I think here we should attack. Take that hit. Take that non-hit. These guys up here. Okay, they are not entrenched. They will be now. Yeah. And they're sort of sacrificial. At least that's how I'm seeing them. You guys come up and entrench. I'm just gambling that there isn't going to be a major push down here. I could turn out to be very, very wrong about that, of course. I think he can stay where he is. Okay. You come up here, right? You can Well, okay, bit of a sacrificial up here. Got to push your way through. More of a hard line around here. Holding. I don't know how much they're going to try to push around these guys here. Okay, now we can see about purchasing some units for the French. Reconnaissance bombers. Okay, it's only 125. Let's purchase them, get them in production. Mobilize as much as we can here. Okay, 200. Garrisons and detachments, no divisions at the moment. Okay, we can also do reconnaissance bombing. I would rather have a detachment, I think. A little bit faster. I expected him to go down, but behold, the turn more. Okay, they swing around this guy a little more effectively than I thought. Now, he was a unit that was just placed this last turn. It didn't have much choices in its placement. Yeah, I thought Liège itself would hold for one more turn. You get to just hold out there until you're gone. Okay, well, you come here and 3 sides, 1 to the north. Okay, well, here. Look at that in a moment. Well, these guys are too easily cut off, I would say. feedback. Interact. Interact. Swap these guys out. Have these guys reinforce these guys. Swap these guys out. Whole unit going. Good. One can these guys hold in there. Yeah, okay, force march. Yeah, we're going to leave Rams uncovered for the moment. What is Arno saying? Is it possible to get the Netherlands in this game? Not in this scenario. And I'm not sure if in the main game. Hello, Shipwrecked. How you doing? No, not using any mod. What I am playing is the March on Paris DLC with the alternative DLC for the counters and some of the map elements. The blue it had been the Blue Max mod, but now it's just a DLC that's provided free with the game. So if you're noticing the counters and whatnot that are not, you know, yes, you still have the NATO style up in the corner, but other graphical stuff. So that's the, I guess it would be called the Blue Max DLC for, and that's just purely you know, a stylistic thing. Not a game change. The Blue Max is not a game changing. Okay, we can't make anything for the British. We can get a division back here, which will be cheaper for the French. And a detachment. Yeah, I like the look of them. I like NATO-style counters, which with this up in the corner here gives that to me, and that this is a detachment for this scale in the game, and it's a, an infantry division. But if you look at this, the picture here will change over time. Well, as you upgrade it, not so much time, but as you upgrade it to show instead of the red cap, it becomes a helmet, the French Adrian helmet, and whatnot. And similarly for Germany and others to, from the Pickelhube to the Stahlhelm. I think we'll do, let's do that. No, let's do as many as we can. I'm just going for, okay, we can get a division that was destroyed here back. And, yep, I'll take a garrison. So it does convey information as to, the level of upgrades and whatnot. So, gotta say, because I don't recognize Shipwreck's name. If you're new around here, please follow or subscribe. Of course, you can like the stream as well. Do appreciate it. Now, a big thing with my current strategy with this is to buy time to mobilize, to stabilize the front, to get to key towns. Put you here on the rail line, just in case rail lines matter. Don't know if we're going to get the ability to. Okay, reconnaissance bomber. Well, we're going to put him, well, I guess there. Right. It was always meant to be sacrificial to buy the time. Now, we have, and I did sort of cleverly notice this, that we got entrenchments to the north, to the east, and the southeast, but we have rivers on the other side there. So he is out on the point and very well may be turnable. Turn the flank. Okay, has he entrenched? Probably. Yes, he's entrenched. But that's fine. Okay. come up to here. You can come. He's going to come to here and entrench. Add that. He's going to come here. And not entrench, but that's alright. We're holding Sudan. Here. That's there, whatever. Okay, so they're gonna. Okay, so they are now getting supply around these guys coming here, down through to here. We have enough time if we can get into reinforce Brussels. More. Okay, yeah, let's swap this out and trench that. We're allowing them to have that. So, you fall back to there. So, see, very much this is a hold railways choke points. If we can do that, let's keep from getting too surrounded. So we'll fall back behind this river here. I know we sort of had the river there, but I'm seeing that this guy could get completely surrounded and taken out. Here now with this. not so much. I know he's going to be a lost cause, and that's fine. Well, while we can, let's get him a bit. Okay, sort of kind of satisfied. Let's swap these two. Now for purchasing. Okay, yeah, let's just barely, but we can have. Oh, did we reinforce everybody we needed to reinforce? Yes. Okay, so cavalry division, purchase, French. We have left. We can purchase as a detachment, and nothing here yet. Once Liège gone, that attack was not survive. And Miller lasts a little longer for us to get in some French reinforcements up there. Yeah, Belgium ain't doing great, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so we have another HQ which will help us. Okay, we will issue there. Alright, well, you're here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna save the. Oh no, wrong thing. Save this. Yeah, I want to try a little trickiness here. Around that. Yes, you can make it into here. There we go. Hey, T2. Yes, new campaign. We are trying to defend France. I mean, sometimes it's you try to defend the indefensible, but well, they can come up to here. Okay, let's do this. And at least give it open for the moment, but I don't think they're going to take it. Coming in, the cavalry might get there. That's about it, I think. Hmm. So let's see if we recon bomb there, which is as much about reconnaissance as anything else. Swap these guys out. One more. I know this is weakening all this, but if I can fully take out a unit and still hold here, hopefully. Nancy. Ah, that looks actually rather effective. There we go. Yeah, take out a few units like that. No, we're just going to sit there and slowly die. And it slowly is what we're hoping for. Delay, delay, delay. Okay, no more units. The French, we can get a detachment. That's... Are we fully reinforced? We can reinforce this turn. Yes. Austin, nice, but we're gonna this detachment, I think. Because garrison, which we only have one left, and I think they're just 50, but detachments have a better chance at actually holding something. Okay, yes. Well, they weren't dug in, damn. Oh, yeah, they did get there. Okay, I knew that was the one sort of unit that at least that I could see that had a real likelihood of getting to that town, but I don't think they'll be able to hold it. Okay. You are ordered abroad as a soldier of the king to help our French comrades against the invasion of the common enemy operations, which to engage in them we must partake friendly countries. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're getting the British. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. And Newport, yay. Well, you can come to here. Okay, now. Now we have that line much more secure. Oh, take out a unit, though that did get a little more weaker than I wanted. You in trash. Yeah. Entrenchments here. Okay. I'm up here and entrench. Oh, well, that's holding for sure. I know these guys are not going to do well, but whatever. Surprised they're still around, that they didn't pummel them. All right, this is looking pretty good here. Um, right, well, they're stuck there for this turn. Okay, well, now let's get a British division in production. Belgium. Well, let's go for 2 more detachments. And France, we are stuck, can't mobilize anymore. All right. As you can see here, they can come through the center here. We might get this detachment that's currently in Ghent up to here or someplace like that. But without being able to rail connect through either Antwerp or Brussels or down here at Namur, we've got a pretty solid line here. So reinforce. Always C2C. Recently looked up the swamps on this map, malaria, daggone. They had some battles there. I kind of knew about it, but never realized how close it is to Paris. In my mind, they were mostly fighting in Belgium. Okay, well, you got to remember. Let's pull out by one here. If I remember correctly, and I'm a more World War II guy, they really sort of had a bulge down like this, and you had the Miracle on the Marne or whatever, where they, got the taxi cabs and other motorized transport and rushed a bunch of French troops. And then the Germans fell back to a more, line back in here. Um, and I know it extended up, up through Wipers through here that was still. So they had this big bulge that got in here that then they had to fall back from. So yeah, they got pretty close. Now I don't know if I'm going to get their victory conditions and push deep into Germany for France, but my hope is to hold a good chunk of Belgium here. And yeah, obviously they're already inside of France because this is the French border here at the time. But to significantly hold much of France, that's my war objectives here. And if I can grind them down enough, holding and then push in, great. But if not, I'll take this as something of a victory. Yeah, somehow I never really thought about it much until I saw how close. Yes. Oh yeah. No, it was a close run thing for the Schlieffen plant. It very well could have gone another way. Well, I took out my cavalry division, but you can see my reinforcements coming up here very strongly. That I really do expect to push them back. we will see how this goes. Holds there. Okay, the BEF is showing up here. On here in Hastings, great. Bomber, great. More French, yay. Paris. Okay, now. I was going to take a bit of a hit, but hoping to fall back to there. And you come up to here and now entrench, which is gamers' sort of favorite tactic for this game. To the north. Okay. So you come in entrench, facing that way. There's a nice protected up there. Go. All right. Yeah, they pushed in, but we aren't really going to see it here. But yeah, this is just going to become a death of starvation if they push through that forest. Bear with you. You. Oh, take out another unit. Come up to here. What are we doing? What are we doing? Entrenched. Yes, he's entrenched. Good. Would have been a similar development as in if they had reached Paris. Surely the French must have prepared for this, some sort of scenario for that war. Yeah, okay, T2, I know, I think it was before you got here, but I gave a bit of a lecture talking about what's going on in Syria. But you remember some of my maxims. Politics is perception. Warfare is a political act. So, if German victory looks assured, then are soldiers going to fight hard? Soldiers, there is the human spirit of victory, fighting for a nation, going into battle. We see a lot of that in World War I, walking into machine guns, following orders, somewhere between, if I don't do as I'm ordered, I could be killed for disobeying orders, on the one hand, and on the other, I'm fighting for my nation and my comrades, so I'm going to follow orders because orders may be the best way to survive this, going into combat. Now, if that looks like we're doomed anyways, people, soldiers, whatever you want to say, stop fighting hard. So, and at this time in 1914, and it changes later on, but nobody is thinking, well, maybe the existence of whatever, the Third Republic or whatever it was at the time, and how many republics has France gone through in the last couple hundred years, but whatever number of republic it is, that may fall and they'll reform a new republic or something like that. But really, neither side thought France, or I'm going to use the other term, Imperial Germany, was at stake here. Okay, neither side thought that. Now, Germany as an existence of a state is not really, and comes into question. But Imperial Germany, obviously the German Empire falls because of this, eventually. But neither side is playing for the conquest of Paris, as who owns it. They were playing for maybe where this border is going to be. Is it going to stay here? Is it going to move to where, more to the modern German border? Or is it going to, move a few miles into France? Maybe France gives up a colony out in Africa or something to the Germans, like Morocco or whatever, as some sort of trading at the end of the war. And if you're pushing in prior to Britain securing a serious foothold, well, no, we've just now got the British here in Belgium as opposed to France, but if the British aren't even here yet and Paris is falling and the British are just a side thing, that I think could happen. Now, maybe France was prepared to fight like in the Franco-Prussian War in the, besieged Paris, with help coming from the French Empire and help coming from the British that's going to then break the siege and throw the Germans back. And maybe there is enough of that going on. I don't have that information to say that that's even a likelihood. I don't know. I think it, you know, I think the reality is, I mean, if you can have a decision, and remember, I separate warfare into two types of wars. Um, Attritional wars and wars of maneuver and decision, okay? A classic war of maneuver and decision, of course, is the Battle of France in 1940. Okay, that a smaller German army smaller than the French army, defeats the French army as well as the British, and throw in the Belgians just for shits and giggles, defeats them by maneuvers and decisions. They're maneuvering around and then have a decisive battle that creates a decision. You have an attempt at that in a very direct manner with the American Civil War, with what is the first Battle of Manassas, or as it's commonly known, Bull Run by the North. But you have the army. Oh, well, we're going to march to Richmond. It's sort of been spread out, holding along front lines. The Union Army coalesces, gets together, and tries to punch to Richmond, and the Confederates bring in reinforcements and have the battle, and it's a decisive battle, and it does create a decision on the battlefield, but the Confederates just really aren't in the shape to create a decision and march into Washington. Had they marched into Washington, probably because of the panic, the government would be fleeing, the army would be fleeing, even just ill-organized Confederate soldiers marching in. And that could have created a decision point that the Confederacy is real, and it has a real army, and it's just taken the national capital of the United States. So maybe we ought to, and that may end the presidency of Lincoln as an effective force, and maybe we ought to negotiate with the Confederates, whether that's some sort of return them to the Union with, I don't know, enshrine slavery within the Constitution. Black people, if they're in the United States, can be enslaved, or some bullshit like that. Or just, oh, well, okay, yeah, we're going to move our capital to New York City or something, and you Confederates can just go, do your own thing. But we're still all Americans, but we're now two countries. But it turns into what is, in essence, a war of attrition. You can see, like, the whole Gettysburg campaign is trying to turn it from a war of attrition back into a war of maneuver and decision. The classic World War I perception very much becomes, because the maneuvering doesn't create a decision, a decisive battle that either crushes the German army or breaks through to Paris, it becomes a war of attrition. Sure, there's tactical elements to it, but mostly it's just attrition along the main front. Yeah, we got Lawrence and, what is it, Auchinleck, or I don't know who, no, Alexander, I think it's Alexander who's moving up across the Sinai for the British. They're creating some decision campaigns against the Turks, but even an attempt at a decision by Churchill as First Lord of the Admiralty into the Dardanelles and, Gallipoli turns into another just attritional battle. So you have that kind of thing. And had you had the French army defeated, I could see Germans putting out a statement of terms, not for the surrender of France, but an armistice terms, that the French might go, yeah, this ain't so harsh. Let's just sign these terms and whatever they are, and do it. But because there is no decision, you get the World War I and the destruction of society. So yeah, that's very much how I see it. Okay. Hey, these guys, they come here, they won't be able to. Yeah, we're just going to entrench here, I guess. Well, let's think about that for a moment. Yeah, we're going to entrench here. Okay, so we can hold Antwerp and we can hold Brussels. I'm not saying we will hold them both. I think we can supply Antwerp. Well, I think it's a secondary supply. So we can hold Antwerp here. Brussels right now is sort of the key. And we still can't strategically redeploy troops. Okay. Hmm. How are they entrenched? If they come right. So that'll keep them from getting their flank turned too badly because they have the river to the back and it's only this one hex here. They can get their flank turned. Yeah, garrison is just very, very weak. Now down here. These guys are doing their job of just delaying, but yeah, nothing good enough that I really want. Well, maybe here. Okay, let's recon. There we go. The division gone. I know they pushed into here, but like I say, that is not going to get them very far in turning my flanks. These guys need to entrench. All right, well, let's see about production. Okay, we can rebuild a cavalry division here. Right. And the garrison. Still better than nothing, garrison that is. Okay. Yes, we need to use the British points to get them across the channel as quickly as possible. Oh, no, they're not imports. Damn. Okay. Let's see how our line holds up. Now they did attack across the river, so that's a little bit of help there. Damn, they actually took the division down. I think they would hold. Marching to the HQ. Oh, okay, well, yeah, let's put you in here. And you can come to there. Okay, some Belgians. Right, good. Um, you up there. And we need to turn this way. You, we're going to do max. You are going to come down to here, dig in. There. You're going to force march all the way to there. All right, some tricky maneuvers here. Let's see what we can do. I'm surprised this guy's still alive, so we're going to move him down to here. Yeah, we've lost that. Well, we're going to lose that, sure, but save a division, I guess. Mm. Okay. He is dug in, is he not? Yes, he is. So let's max him out. That just looks so tempting. What I think we're going to do is rotate the other way. Defense line here. With them in the back. We're going to uncover here temporarily and move up this detachment. Obviously, we should have done so before now. One guy back here would help a lot. So can't strategically redeploy yet. I'm not sure if that's just an element of this scenario. Well, I'm sure it is to a degree, but I mean, is it zero redeployment or what? Okay. Fly across here isn't ready to. Um, we'll see. I don't know that I need to move up into there. I think this is the fastest way to get to the north. Yeah, they could punch through here easily, but I'm just gambling they don't know that. Okay, purchasing. Okay, we can get that rebuilt, that rebuilt. They're maxed out. They just don't have the MPP. Okay, let's see what the Germans can do. See what the Hun can do. Blue division alone so long, and it's entrenched up there a bit, yes, but and then they attack it once it moves. Oh wow, they even survived that. Yeah, no, we're definitely in a bit of difficulty here. I didn't expect this to be easy. I don't even know that I'm doing the right thing by trying to hold so far forward a position. You know, overextending my reach, not getting too few units up into Belgium to do any good, when maybe I should have fallen back earlier on. That out. You know what we're going to do is we're going to hit shift and shift these guys there and reinforce them there. These guys have not taken a pounding. This division's going to come here and entrench like that. These guys are going to come up here. They're not entrenched, but they are in just a detachment, I know. But with these guys entrenched on the flank, I don't know that too much is going to get there. Because I'm entrenched behind the river there. We're gonna still try to hold that here. Oh, something more like that, I think. They can't strategically redeploy. Yes, they don't want me to use trains to get my forces to there. Let's try him there. I don't know if I should be doing more force marches or what. Well, you can come down into here. We're going to move into the infections. Okay, so we've now more secured Verdun a little bit more. British are arriving. Okay, well they can fly there. Get across as quickly as possible. And so out of the port. Well, okay, coming in somewhat strong here, a little piecemeal coming in up front. Some Sharbies would be quite handy right about now. Yes. Yes. Okay, the Paris divisions can't. I'm going to leave Paris open because I'm intending to stop them much further forward. Wasn't there a... Okay, there's him that just came onto the map, so he can't move yet. Right, these guys are holding down here. The ones that retreated back. That line's holding pretty well. Max that out. Max that out. Well, I think we are somewhat strong enough to be able to take some, damage, if you will, but take a piece off the board is worth it. Okay, well, yeah, let's... Because if there's a huge stack of forces back here, well, then maybe we're screwed anyways. But if we can sort of do that, take a couple of pieces off the board, he's got to be serious problems with supply. Yeah, okay. Now, purchasing France, Cavalry Division. Yay, because we got lots and lots of MPP. And not lots for Britain, but we've been getting our forces across the channel, which are worth it. A couple of divisions today. I mean, we can get the divisions, I think, eventually, but a couple of divisions today are better than 4 in a week. Or something like that. Well, he's too poundable from too many directions. But we will just attempt not to get cut off. Cavalry Division retires. Smart of them. Ah, they have artillery. How fancy. Now Arnold will be back. Okay. They definitely brought up that artillery and are firing all, 10 rounds. They're going to hopefully, for their sake, take it this turn. We're hoping to defend, but it's looking like nope. Like I say, it's looking like nope. They took out that garrison unit, which I'm a little surprised it was just one unit to take it out, for one attack. That artillery was devastating. Belgian morale falls for loss of Navarre. Okay. Paris. Alright, well. You entrench. No, I think this is probably the better way. You come down here, you can put the garrison there. We're entrenched. Yeah. Want to be on that river. Good for detachment, but get them up there. So they turn to flank there at Nem, which the problem is now that they can well, they could supply up this front up there, but that's one of the major rail hubs that we are concerned with. Like you can see, we have lots and lots of divisions here that if we can just get them to the points of impact, the points of decision, we can do good things with them. Damn, he survived. Okay, well, not great, not terrible, but not great. Okay, you guys. Now, we can move up to here and let's try something straight ahead. That will, well, let's use this tool. That will allow all these guys to reinforce here. Okay, so now we have fairly straight lines. I know that's protruding out of the straight lines, but we've got a pretty good hold there. Is he entrenched? Yes, he's entrenched. He's entrenched. Maybe I should be, I don't know if I should be rushing them faster. I know I said more today than tomorrow, but it's also a matter of the shape or the condition of the. Okay, no, we're going to do this. We're going to force march these guys. This turn here. It does reduce their readiness or whatever. I don't know exactly how much. We could figure this out, but these guys as well. A way to clear off some of the. Yeah, I just think I should be force marching to get these guys. Oh, I do want to use the railroad, but notice it's not, because he's on the railroad, it's not allowing me to operate this unit as if it were on the railroad. So I'm not sure. I guess it's part of the design elements of it, of the scenario, that they don't want the French rushing into here too fast. So yeah, I would prefer to use the railroad most assuredly. I think we're going to swap these guys out. Okay, so if we get to hold Brussels, that'll be great. I was sort of hoping a turn or two more for Namur. I mean, I'm hoping, of course, to lock this line in solid here, but if we can hold the western half of Belgium, and again, yeah, we've lost some border country here with France, but you know, let's zoom out. North. This is a massive industrial area for France. Um, so holding this and not having it being a battlefield, or an active battlefield or whatever, I mean, that would help France considerably industrially. And this is, of course, becomes a war of attrition. Okay, purchasing. Okay, we can get a division. We can get a garrison. But nothing. And nothing here. Because we're getting things, we're getting units across the channel. Did we get everybody that we could? Yes. Uh-huh. Now that one big artillery barrage that we had, if that's the only artillery division, and it's been a long time since I played the scenario from the other side, we very well may hold out, or I mean, take a while for them to rebuild up and hold out there just south of Namur. Okay, retreat back, retreat back, retreat back, yeah. I'd rather keep that division alive even if it's somewhat battered. A lot of this, of course, is just playing for time to move up forces and, of course, mobilize forces. Okay. We've just about done it. Yeah. And we got, well, this, a lot of forces showed up down here, and so we've been able to have this well defended. It's just, we've got to move up into here. Okay. I'm seeing a development. Let's move to here. Yeah, sort of like that. And French, no, no. Maybe that. And he is weak from this one angle here. But we're sort of turning this flank here a bit. His readiness is way down at 29%. Morale is 32. Okay, let's do this and then check on him. Now at 51% readiness, so he's much more ready than he was. Okay. That way, he's going to protect Brussels. He's going to get reinforced. He's going to get structures. He is not entrenched, but now will be. He's hanging out just behind the lines, or the river lines there. There's a report from the front that some are complaining that the red caps and trousers attract enemy fire. Shall we shoot those people for unpatriotic propaganda? Yeah, no, there was a whole thought. I forget how to say it, but I believe the sort of French motto at the time was attack, attack, always attack, coming out of Napoleon. But and the red trousers and whatnot was the esprit de corps, blah 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 blah. They eventually go over to all blue. But yeah, they have some old-fashioned notions here as to if we can get that guy. We can move up to here because he can fill in the hole there was actually a division. He can come up here. Guillotine, yes. Old fashioned, yes. Yeah. There had been a lot of changes to warfare when even Napoleon you can look at Napoleon likes, or the French, because it's not just Napoleon, and it's Napoleon, as time goes on, uses more and more artillery. I think, what is it, at Austerlitz or something, has the Grand Battery or whatever. And I don't know how much you guys, because I get complaints about my history talks, and I know Beam Slam and probably T2 love them, but Napoleon at the siege of Toulon is personally commanding and loading and dragging forward artillery in the face of the enemy and blasting them, mostly with, canister and grape shot kind of stuff, and winning battles, siege battles and whatnot that way. Then in his Italian campaign, sort of after it, during the French Revolutionary period still, he is using speed and momentum and the bayonet mostly to defeat not just the Austrians, but the Austrians particularly, where the Austrians are trying for more modern firepower type battles, but he's able to get there, and the Austrians are ponderous. They've got the best equipped army in the world, but like I say, they're ponderous, they're slow, partially because they're the best equipped army in the world, so they're dragging a lot of supplies and equipment along with them. And they're trying to coordinate movements along multiple axes of approach, along different roads, knowing that, again, roads are primitive at the time and wouldn't handle too much traffic on them. And Napoleon's able to do what Stonewall Jackson later does with his foot cavalry, which isn't dragoons, isn't guys on horses. It's just he moves foot at the speed of cavalry in the Civil War, because he just is able to do so, get his troops, partially by getting rid of supplies and equipment that they're carrying, both carrying individually on the backs of individual soldiers, as well as logistical supplies, wagons, whatnot, supporting him, and is able to move and have the esprit de corps of his soldiers that are willing to go without food, whatever, and move so fast and get to the enemy, on the enemy, before that they're prepared for it. And because if you look at some of the Valley campaigns, they in many ways resemble Napoleon's campaigns in Italy. Now, are the campaigns in Italy just done in such a way as desperation? No, I don't think so. But I do think it is a feature of doing with what you have, as opposed to worrying about what you don't have. And I'm sure Napoleon captures a fair amount of artillery, particularly from the Austrians, but also from the various Italian forces, but knowing that they're going to slow him up, and that he's not going to win the artillery battle at that time. Later on, like I say, he gets more and more artillery, back in the more imperial period. And he tries for, again, sort of maneuver and decision, maneuver the army around, blast it with a bunch of, artillery, and then come in for a decision with the bayonet. Now, it's not just Wellington, though Wellington is sort of a master at it. The British are willing to pick a battlefield, are willing to retire if need be, to where they would have a good battlefield. Often he likes to use a reverse slope, so those massed artillery don't do anything to you. And including the ultimate battle of the Napoleonic era, Waterloo, part of the strategy is, again, he puts his troops on the reverse side of the slope, having them laying down to basically minimize, but suffer through the big blasts of the Grand, or whatever version of the Grand Battery that Napoleon is doing. And then when the French come in, stand up, move in, and face down, with both bayonet, but also, firepower, and the firepower wins. Yes, Ney, charges in with the cavalry over and over, but they're able to form squares and use firepower to shoot the cavalry out of their, off the horses, and win the battle with firepower. The British, outside of possibly the Austrians, and I just don't know, are some of the best trained musketeers of the Napoleonic era. They have probably more training than most of the other soldiers from peacetime. They spend shot and powder at a rate that is more than most in training. Lots and lots of the armies will do the whole dumb show of, pulling out the ramrod and pretending to load and fire the musket. The British actually train with loading and firing the muskets in a fairly large amount. Beam Sam. Okay, yes. Napoleon, his beautiful daughters, is that what he referred to the cavalry as, I guess? Or, I mean, as the artillery. And at Waterloo placed the Belgians in the Netherlands front to take the cannon rounds. Yes, well, the Belgians and the Netherlands troops are unreliable in Wellington's opinion, and I would agree with him. The head of the House of Orange is not a good military commander. And his Dutch troops, however many months before, had been anti-Orangist, anti-British troops, and same with the Belgians. Those two factions had been trained up as being, part of the, French imperial system, if you will. And they've only recently come into either the service of the House of Orange or the service of the British, if you will, as puppet states. So they've sort of changed sides. So how inspired are the Dutch and the Belgians to stick with the bayonet to bayonet with the French? What are they fighting for? Where the British troops, we can talk about getting ready to go to fight in the Americas, but they don't. But most of the British units are veterans of the Peninsula Campaign. They've had a break. There's definitely fresh recruits and whatnot. And these are known troops, known to fight well. And so, yes, they are his best troops. Why we hate the British? No, you don't hate the British. Well, maybe Arno hates everybody, but that's just Arno. But yeah, so now this war, there are two new things and one radically improved thing at the start of it. More things like tanks and aircraft. I mean, yeah, I know we sort of have a little bit of where aircraft, but they're not a major factor here. The two new things in this war, they did show up in a previous war. The Russians are the only ones that really learned the lesson, but they don't employ the learning of the lesson well. for various reasons. But the two new things are machine guns and barbed wire. And I could say, and there's two, well, yeah, radically improved things, but really, really one radically improved thing. So barbed wire, and doesn't show up in the earliest days, but the machine gun does. And this is why there's still fluidity of movement. But barbed wire stops the fluidity of movement. It fixes positions in place and slows up any attack to give time for the machine guns to do their work. So this means the offensive is, not the way to fight this war. The other radically improved thing is artillery. And particularly the first wave of this is the French 75, the Fast 75, in that it has a pneumatic recoil system that allows a gun to be moved onto the field and fire and stay in its place. Because prior to this, and still some of the British, most of the German guns, even much later into the war, when you shoot them, they recoil enough that, yeah, sure, breech loading is faster than muzzle loading, and sure, you have rifling to, you've had rifling since, in mass use, at least since the American Civil War. But you have to reset that gun to a position to shoot at the same target and to adjust your fire. So, oh, hey, we're a little long. Well, then we put the gun back in the same position and then readjust it to the new. And you got to constantly be doing this. Where with the French, you sort of got it there. And yeah, it'd move a little bit, but mostly it's staying in position. So you can very accurately get onto target. And of course, things like air bursting shells are appearing. I mean, they existed before, but are more and more effectively, working. And so you're able to get that gun into position, fire a shot or two or three or whatever to get the range and whatnot right into an area. And you're doing mostly in the battery of these. And then you can just pour on the fire. And so and you might think, and yes, it would help on the offensive, is like we just talked about, Napoleon using artillery to tear holes in the enemy line and then push through. Yes, improved artillery would do that, but it also equally as much, if not more, will help on the defense, in that if you can come in, you can counter battery fire to the enemy's, at least close in artillery. You can spot and well do, though as time goes on they do massive counter batteries, and the battlefield is slowed up again because of the barbed wire that gives that artillery time to shoot more shots as those units approach, so that you have the defensive become supreme. Now, I'm not sure on the date that we first see barbed wire used in World War I, though fairly early on there is some entrenchment. But again, particularly with the French, I don't think entrenching is thought to be, and I'm not even talking about widespread entrenchments like we think of, World War I, the whole, zigzag works with dugouts that people living under. I'm just talking about guys digging foxholes and similar sorts of, field quick entrenchments. I think they're going on. The British were doing some of that a bit, I believe, in the Boer Wars. I definitely know that they create around certain towns and besieged forts, they were entrenching themselves. The Boers were not so much, because they were sort of, commandos. That's where the word comes from. it's a Boer word for a military unit, would, long-range snipe and be more fluid of movement than trying to entrench. If they got pressed, they'd just fall back and keep sniping at long range, not trying to hold territory, even a local position. Different sort of war. So they're getting this idea that, and you can even look at some of this early stuff, particularly from Rommel that I've read. They're, and both sides are, using buildings, farm buildings. You can again think of Waterloo and some of the buildings that were key at the battle there, that were, large stone, building complexes for a farm. And so these are, spread across this part of the world, and, stone built individual farmhouses and small things that create natural, strong points. And these are very much being used in the early phases of this war. It's just the French are thinking still with the bayonet. And again, we can see what is the bayonet for? Well, in the 18th century, the bayonet is heavily, and maybe even mostly, for playing, stay away from me, horseman, stay away from me, horseman, because it's replacing the pike. And it's keeping the horses, away from the infantry units, and relying mostly upon firepower. Because you can look at very much like Frederick the Great's army with his rolling musketry as they're moving up and trying to use firepower, with very much the idea that if the infantry is coming, you can so quickly get loaded and blast them in the face once or twice as they're, coming in close and devastating an attack that way. But horses, because horses can move very, very fast, can come in such a way that even if you time your volley correct, you're going to get one volley, and the momentum, you just can't stop the horses enough. I mean, a few will collapse because they're hit with, musketry fire and whatnot, but the others will jump over the dead horses or dying horses and just come in with such momentum that you just overrun a firepower element of the time. So they need the muskets. And if you can create a line of bayonets, you're good. Now, of course, if you can go around that, you're not good. That's why they form squares, to a line on every flank. But a line just straight up against, straight coming in cavalry works just fine. It's only when they are able to, get around the flanks is it a problem. And that's why forming the squares. Like I do say, Napoleon and the French revolutionaries, especially the French revolutionaries, it's heavily because of the lack of training, I would say primarily, but secondarily, the lack of powder and shot, and using mass armies that are trying to overwhelm the professional armies that try to use the bayonet as an assault weapon on the enemy. So, all of my reading is with, mid-18th century warfare. The bayonets are used, in infantry to infantry warfare. It's sort of after one side or the other is sort of kind of winning the musketry duel. And it's sort of like, okay, they're about ready to break. Let's just go for this. They'll probably break, and then we get to stab them in the back. And it's sort of a shock to them to come to melee with well-formed forces. But the French are trying that in, like I say, the revolutionary era of the Napoleonic Wars. And so they're continuing. So World War I, with your multi-shot rifles, you no longer really need the bayonet against horses anymore. That's gone. And you're also no longer needing the bayonet to attack infantry, because you're just not going to be able to. Now, if you're going, well, what about all the bayonet use? Yes, I'll get there. Because you're able to keep up enough fire that anybody coming at you, you're just going to shoot them enough with it. And you go, yes, obviously, once you get into trench warfare, once you get into that hand-to-hand, that we're jumping in the trench that the enemy is still occupying, yeah, then you have bayonets. But then you also have pocket knives in it. Well, I mean, daggers are not really folding pocket knives, but you got knives, you got trench knives, you got whatever. You're just close up, fighting, and a bayonet might be as more effective as a big trench knife than as a thing on a long rifle that you got to maneuver around in a close trench. So that's sort of a different. I'm sort of pulling trench war, the actual trench fighting element of the trench warfare as different than the British fighting against the Turks in Sinai coming up through Palestine. It's a firepower war. They are not in open fields coming bayonet to each other. It's just assaulting a position kind of thing. So yes. What's the I don't know. No, I do not hate everybody, just the French and the, what is it? Mortocans? Moroccans? Kitchen knife. Yes. Mine probes. Yeah, crowbars pulling out. Hey, Arno, you also hate the Russians, too. I'm not sure how many other people you probably also hate if you really started thinking about it. So, Arno just hates about everybody. Just Arno. But yeah, so yeah, and trench, really is trench warfare. I mean, we can see a little bit of it again in the Japanese-Russo War. And, it goes, and that's sort of, if you will, siege warfare, for a city or whatever, that's, hand to hand, any sort of fighting close up, kind of stuff. So I'm putting trench warfare as different, or the trench battles, close in is a different thing than that. So yeah, and I know a lot of armies had been going towards bullpups rifles. Most of them have abandoned them, including the French. I don't know if the Austrians have abandoned them. I think the Australians, I mean, maybe also be abandoning the Steyr AUG. But having a knife on the end of your rifle is a useful thing. But, really in a practical sense, it's no longer a combat tool. Now, you still do bayonet drills to teach aggression to your soldiers and whatnot. But you just think of a modern day bayonet, and we can look at, there's a few examples in which the bayonet has been used at different times, and sometimes for crowd control, and not just having having it on a end of the rifle. But think about you're in something like Vietnam and there's a tripwire or something in front of you, and you want to lay down on the ground and use the bayonet on the end of your rifle to trip the tripwire or something like that, and to hopefully that you're out of the blast zone if it's a mine, or if it's a, some other sort of swinging booby trap, you're not in the path of the thing that you're tripping. So having a bayonet, having a knife that you can clip on the end of your rifle is still a useful tool, for probing things. Is there somebody hiding, or is there, weaknesses in some walls that's a hidden thing or something, So yeah, it's still a useful thing to have a bayonet, but it's no longer, and you can tell me about some very real story, maybe of some SEALs or somebody, out of ammunition using bayonets or whatever. Yeah, but that's so rare. That's an edge case that's barely around. No, not all Russians. You hate all the Russians. You've said it before, Arno. You've said it before. Don't backtrack. Yeah, and they're still, but hand to hand. But the realities of how often do you actually get into hand to hand combat? It's a very rare thing indeed. Way to get heading north as quickly as possible. Because we're even moving away from, I really think, and no, the rifle is not an outdated thing, but I think we're moving into the age of drones. I think we're going to see the importance of the rifle diminishing. The machine gun is still going to be important, more so, because machine guns just are more important than rifles. But the rifle is something that you're going to carry, but the soldier's going to have a controller with a little screen on it, and he's going to have a little backpack that has several drones in it, and those drones, maybe a heavier one that would have like a, which actually you could sort of redesign it, but the FN57, I think, is going to come into its own, maybe. That's the 5.7 millimeter pistol. Is you can mount one of those on the drone, put like a 30-round magazine in it, and have some sort of small gyro stabilizer, and just have those guys fly the little drone. Why do you have a scout in front of your squad? You just send out a drone that's checking out the path, and when you come up to a building, we'll fly some drones into the building, see if there's anybody in there, and the enemy's going to come and shoot at you with drones, and you're going to shoot at them with drones, and you're going to have a drone that you maybe not like you may have suicide drones that blow up, but you may just put a hand grenade on the bottom of a drone, have it have modern fuses that are, say, like a 1-second fuse, and so you fly the drone over somewhere, drop the grenade, which partially, just losing the weight, the drone will pop up a bit higher, and like 1 second, and then that grenade goes off, and so you'll be not throwing grenades, but dropping grenades on each other, and of course you'll have drones trying to take out other drones and whatnot. I think we're going to see heavy uses of drones that, there's somebody over there 500 yards. Well, why are you even going to put your head up over the ridge to even look at them, let alone try to shoot them? And not just like the sort of Vietnam where you hold the rifle over the wall or the foxhole and just sort of spray in the enemy's direction. No, you just stay hunkered down and just get your little drone flying out there. You have a rifle just in case somehow the enemy gets close enough to you. but you're just playing little drone warfare. And so, how often are you actually going to get into an enemy's trench, or an enemy's going to get into your trench? Yeah, it'll still happen. You'll still want bayonets, but the use cases will continue to get less and less, I do say. This... Oh, no, we need to change your orientation. There we are. That's a minor hit, but we're going to come up here like that. We're going to hit him again. Now tell me I'm wrong about how I see the near-term, and I do mean near-term nature of warfare, as in the next 10 years or so. And if nations aren't, and I don't know that they are, because armies are slow to evolve, and governments are loath to, especially European governments, are loath to fund the military, but they should be planning on cheap drones that you can mass produce that'll work. They should be testing about the abilities to jam drones. And if you think you can do the old, oh, hey, yeah, we're sort of like the old Soviets that we just turn on big, huge jammers, just brute force jamming. Well, I don't know how well jamming works on digital signals. Just don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just don't know how well it works. But hey, you got micro fiber optic cables. And so what? You have to carry a few coils of them. They'll be lightweight. And so you'll have drones that'll be unjammable because they'll be hardwire drones. So unless you're hitting something with enough microwave somehow to actually disrupt the electronics of it, not disrupt its, jamming its signals, but somehow cooking it. Unless you're doing something like that, these will be and that's why you very well might turn on big big jammers to jam the medium and long range type drones, jamming communications, and the Army going back to carrier pigeons or motorcycle rider dispatches because everything else is jammed communication wise. But the squad, the platoon, the company, they can have fiber optic drones that are hardwired to the user. And sure, that does sort of give an indication of where they're coming from, but still, they just drone on that stuff. Well, who should have thought the next major war in Europe would involve massive lines of trenches and artillery to take the enemy trenches? Well, one of my teachers, who isn't entirely wrong on things, way back in high school, predicted this because they looked at the Iran-Iraq war and how it became a trench warfare. I don't think it would be a trench warfare if there was a serious commitment of, I don't know about the British nowadays because they've really let their army go down, but the Germans, the French, or the Americans, I particularly from looking at the Americans, I don't think it would be trenches. Sure, we would dig in just because, foxholes are, better at protecting when attacked, and looking at actions in both Iraq and Afghanistan on fronts and areas in which we are not actively being aggressive on. Um, we would build fortifications like, with the bastion bags, big sort of bag walls filled with, earth or whatever. Like we see that would quickly be popped up in places that would just be protective. But I don't think the U.S. would have devolved into the trench warfare. I think it's more of the nature of the scale of the size of the war. Ukraine is huge, and the inability of the Ukrainians to, and I know they've gone into the Kursk area, but I think that was more against lack of opposition. But their inability, it seems, to coordinate large formations and move them rapidly against the enemy. And it just may be because they can't concentrate enough forces. And so we see situations where there's a few Bradleys, maybe doing very well or maybe not doing very well, getting trapped in minefields or something, a few Bradleys moving around. Where when we look at the similar sort of thing in various U.S. invasions, particularly of Iraq, we see a concentration of Bradleys. There's 20 of them, and there's 20 tanks, and they're all moving together. And I've just not seen a concentration of forces from the Ukrainians. And I see the Ukrainians, when the Russians create that concentration, eventually finding a position in which to ambush and disrupt the Russians, and the Russians are unable to effectively deal with these ambushes and units that the Americans, I think, would. So I think it's a bit more of the nature of who the combatants are than whether it's just in Europe or whatever. So that's my analysis from sitting on a continent away and not in the army and not getting all this stuff. So I probably got it all wrong, but that's my analysis. I'm curious to see how the anti-drone measures that are being developed at the moment are holding up. Yeah, I've seen at least from the 3 or 4 shots of it that I saw, I think they were Ukrainian drones that were flying around that had nets on them, that they would fly over a Russian drone and drop a net on it, which would stop the propellers and immediately have the Russian drone fall on the ground. And I've definitely seen what looks to be suicide drones going after other drones, like having a grenade attached to a drone and then coming near it and blowing up. Whether it's a grenade or some other explosive doesn't really matter. It's just that kind of thing. So they're doing that. I don't know why they can't do and I just don't know if anybody's been building it or worrying about it. But what we have, surface-to-air missiles, you should just simply take those homing elements of a surface-to-air missile and attach them to a drone to have a surface-to-air drone that'll go up and use radar to identify another drone and seek it and just hit it. So you're just sort of, having a search radar. I don't know the technical side of things, but I could certainly work with them on tactical sides. I don't know why we're not building like an old school search radar that you would see for the old I guess like the British Javelin or whatever, sort of a local area search radar putting up there, that then just has a bunch of drones, and as it spots and it has IFFs, identified friend or foe, kind of thing, and whatever it doesn't get a friendly return on spotting things, that it just doesn't start sending up, you know, a drone that goes in and attacks whatever drones are coming, whatever it sees flying that is not, obviously a bird or something, that is not a friendly thing, and just going after them, and just sort of like launching, call it a beehive maybe, launching a hive of bees at the enemy. I don't, that NATO countries and armaments firms should be developing these things right now. And first gen or proto gens aren't going to maybe be very good, but they should at least be making them now. So yes, Russians only have gained it if the Russians trench artillery situations might not have happened. Yeah, well, air superiority with modern things is this. Hello, what is that? Oh boy, I'll call you Stefan. This is Strategic Command World War One, and this is the though I'm talking about other things. This is the March on Paris DLC for it. Talking about the stuff that I've seen from NATO countries, there's a range of anti-drone measures that they have developed, especially for vehicles or dedicated vehicles for general drone defense. Well, I saw a bit about a French company who was doing mostly that for ships. But yeah, they were working on it. How is Norman's Land doing? Um, Norman's Land. I'm not. No Man's Land doing, I think, is what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's no R there. No, it's doing okay. Like smart munitions. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. Okay, so we're gonna attack this unit here. Now we're gonna swap this out. We're gonna look at that versus that. Take the hit here, maybe a minor one. Enough that I think we will hold, but oh damn, they survived. Okay, now here. Oh, good. The spider says to the fly, you move right into the trap, and bye-bye. Okay, one unit down, one unit almost gone. No Man's Land, yes. And that may become more of a thing with drones. I know that's maybe not what Eric was thinking of, but the idea that I don't know. I think we need to go. Move some of these guys. To a more useful front. I think we can just hold here. Okay, you were the one that was trapped up there, so we're gonna force you. Well, No Man's Land was a territory that was not controlled directly by either side. So it wasn't friendly or enemy, it was just the territory between controlled areas. Still can't send these guys via rail. We don't need you way back here. Let's get you coming up. Okay. Nothing more we can get there, nothing more we can get there, and don't have enough for that. Right. Okay, well. We have somewhat stable line here. Somewhat, not fully stable, but somewhat. And they've sort of left off from pushing here. They're pushing Brussels, it looks like. Hey, Seb. Yes, we did last Saturday. We did have a decisive German victory taking Paris. So we are now back to 1914 and trying to defend Belgium and seeing if we can hold Brussels and whatnot. Um, Coming up the flank of him. Reorganize the front line here. Okay, we lost a division. We're getting more. Okay, the cavalry here, there, and more reconnaissance bombers. Yeah, we can put them there. Okay, some Belgian garrison unit. Went out of the way. Okay, not maybe line. Belgium gets some reconnaissance bombers. Don't want to put you there because yeah, you might get attacked. Yes, we need the red wine, I'm sure. All right, now here we now have to reorganize this. So what we're going to do here is here we're going to remove the unit. See, we have that. So what we need to do here is entrench this way and entrench. Good. Still holding out. And yes. Now, you can come back there to take a bit of a break. We're going to move some steady British guys right into here so that we do see higher morale for British. Okay, yeah. So I'm higher guard for the steadiness of the British and holding Brussels because I do not want to lose Brussels. British have arrived. No, he's just a detachment, but that's fine. We are grinding them down. There we go. Taking down another unit. Still holding the line. I'm actually now very satisfied with the situation. Yeah. But I played it from the German side, and it is a bit tricky because, and they took Liège fast enough, I would say. But you really have to bring your forces up quickly and smash through effectively. They got Namur very effectively, but they have not. The AI has not seemed to be continuing to push. Wanted to here and be able to entrench, which I'm now able to. Okay. Maybe he's too alone out there. I don't know. Yeah, they can come up in the trench. Right now, for production, purchasing. Okay, we can get another Belgian unit. And well, no, we want a division, I think. An infantry division, not a cavalry division. No. Horses. Okay, and the guard here. We don't really want these guys on the front line much. We'll put you here. They're definitely better than nothing, but they're not that useful. Not when we can put divisions in. Right, let's save this. I think we'll call it a day here. It's been fun. We're going to have to play this on another time. So I want to thank T2, Sev, of course, Beam Slam, Arno, who else? Eric, Stefan, don't know how to pronounce. I don't know how to pronounce your first name there. But thanks for hanging out with me. Hopefully, we will see you tomorrow with War Thunder. Maybe Arno will join us. I don't know. Um, hopefully, it's been fun. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow.